I'm Carl Nasman in Washington, and this is BBC World News America. President Biden hits the campaign trail in the key swing state of Michigan amid uncertainty about his re-election bid. Gaza ceasefire talks hit another roadblock as the latest round of negotiations in Egypt wraps without a breakthrough. And a school building collapses in central Nigeria, killing dozens of people, including children. Welcome to World News America. President Joe Biden is back on the campaign trail a day after his high-profile press conference at the NATO summit in Washington. He's speaking in Michigan, which is a critical battleground state that could swing either Republican or Democratic. Notably absent from today's rally are prominent Michigan officials and Biden allies, including the state's Democratic governor, Gretchen Whitmer, who's been floated as a possible alternative to Biden for the 2024 race. The governor's office says that she is at a tech conference in Idaho. Auto union president Shawn Fain won't be there either. While he expressed some concern about Biden's candidacy, he is reportedly still backing him in the race. Now, the endorsement of the UAW is seen as critical to helping Biden win in swing states, and it's headquartered in Michigan, a major car manufacturing hub. Today's rally in Detroit will be closely watched after the president's NATO speeches were overshadowed by his gaffes, his performance doing little to move the needle for Democrats who are divided right now about his prospects for re-election. We can go now to North America correspondent Netta Taufik. She is in Detroit for that rally. Netta, what are we expecting from this event in Michigan, and how important is it? Well, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin spoke with his Russian counterpart over the phone on Friday amid continued tensions over the war in Ukraine. The leaders discussed the issue of preventing security threats and reducing the risk of possible escalation. That's according to the Kremlin. The Pentagon says that Secretary Austin stressed the importance of maintaining lines of communication with Russia. Now, it all comes after that three-day NATO summit right here in Washington, where Western leaders boosted military aid for Ukraine against what they called an increasingly aggressive Russia. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky asked his Western allies to lift restrictions on using their weapons to strike targets inside Russia. Mr. Zelensky said that could help prevent Russian attacks like this one. Earlier this week, more than 40 people killed in a wave of missile attacks across Ukraine. Our Ukraine correspondent James Waterhouse sent us this report now from Kyiv. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban met with former President Donald Trump at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida on Thursday. Mr. Orban's spokesperson said the two discussed the possibilities of peace as invading Russian troops continue to push for territory in Ukraine. Mr. Orban has angered Western allies over the past 2 weeks with trips to Moscow and Beijing. The Hungarian leader also made a stop in Kyiv, claiming that he's working towards a ceasefire. Well, John Bolton is Mr. Trump's former national security advisor. He was also the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, and I spoke to him a little bit earlier. Ambassador, I just want to start by asking you about this NATO summit that's just wrapped up here in D.C. Do you think the alliance did enough to put Ukraine on a path not just to defend itself, but to win this conflict against Russia? Talks to reach a ceasefire in Gaza between Israel and Hamas are understood to have come to an end without an agreement. Discussions were held in Doha and Cairo over the weekend. A Palestinian official told the BBC that Hamas had been willing to abandon its condition of a permanent ceasefire, but that Israel, in the official's words, sabotaged the negotiations. Israel has not yet commented. But President Biden said that both sides have agreed to a basic outline. He said in that statement, 6 weeks ago, I laid out a comprehensive framework for how to achieve a ceasefire and bring the hostages home. There's still work to do, and these are complex issues, but that framework is now agreed to by both Israel and Hamas. My team is making progress, and I'm determined to get this done. Our Gaza correspondent, Rushdie Abu-Alouf, has been following the developments from Istanbul, and he gave us this update. Well, a school in central Nigeria collapsed on Friday, killing at least 21 people and injuring several others. Witnesses say that people could be heard crying out for help under the rubble. The country's National Emergency Management Agency says the collapse happened as students took their exams at the Saint Academy in Jos North, the district of Plateau State. Our Africa correspondent Chris Edwalker has been following those developments from the Nigerian capital, Abuja. And before we go, NASA's Webb telescope has captured a pair of galaxies intertwined in a cosmic hug. They're nicknamed the Penguin and the Egg. I mean, stunning photos here showing the galactic duo joined together by a blue haze of stars and gas. NASA says the two galaxies will be locked in a cosmic dance until they merge into a single galaxy hundreds of millions of years from now. The photos celebrated the second anniversary, of course, of the Webb telescope that's out there taking those amazing pictures. I'm Carl Nasman here in Washington. Thank you so much for watching World News America.
Hello there. Let's take a brief look now at the weather forecast for Europe as we head through